The only real God is the one that you believe in. Start looking for the God in others. And if you find you're tuning into a wave, well then I don't know much about being saved.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, friends.
Welcome into another episode of Spiritual Philosophy Chatter with the Joneses. I'm Danny Jones.
And I am Samantha Jones.
And this is episode 190.
190.
What are we doing today?
This is all about pets.
Cool.
My favorite thing to talk about. Yay.
And the listeners dig the pet stuff, too.
They do, yes.
Cool.
For sure.
Well, before we do it, anything we're going to share from last week?
Yes, so last week we did Losing Our Religion, and we had a lot of good feedback from that episode. I know that's a hard topic for some people to talk about. It's like, it's uncomfortable, and so we don't talk about it.
Yeah.
But we should.
Yeah.
You know.
I agree.
Yeah. So this last week on my radio show, I did Exploring the Magic of the Universe. And when I did this, I asked people for questions in my Facebook reading group and on my personal Facebook page. I asked, do you have any questions about the universe? You know, things like that.
Yep.
I used almost all of those questions on the radio show this last week, except for the ones related to animals. So that's why we're doing this episode today, because I have a whole bunch of animal questions.
Oh, cool.
But at the beginning of all of our episodes, we answer 2 questions all the time. So I have exactly 2 questions left that I didn't get to on the radio show. So, yeah. And they're both about manifestation.
Cool.
So let's do those. Okay. This is from Nancy. Nancy says, I'm discovering that I am in fact controlling, not of other people, but myself and how I live my life. In the past, I have basically let things evolve and see where that takes me. But lately, I have been feeling the need to manifest, play a more active role in how my life turns out. If I'm putting things out into the universe and the universe knows my wants, needs, and desires, I shouldn't have to manifest that it would just it would just come to me automatically. Yes? Control or don't control the flow of my future. This is a great question about manifestation because it's something that I often catch myself stuck in the middle of. The universe knows what I want. So just by knowing what I want, it's almost like I've already manifested that. But I think that the point of manifestation is similar to prayer, is that we're recognizing what it is that we would like, what the issue is, what we're in need of, you know, whatever. We're recognizing it and saying, okay, this is what I want for my life. Yeah. And one thing that I've really noticed is that the universe wants us to be honest. So if you want to live an extravagant lifestyle and you're sitting here going, I don't really want to, I just want to have a little bit of extra money, you're lying. And the universe knows that. So I feel like you have to be on the same level. You have to be honest with yourself about, this is what I want with my life. This is what I want to do. This is how, you know, I want to go about it. And when you do, and it aligns with what's supposed to happen, I feel like that's when the manifestation happens.
Yeah. Probably the biggest difference between prayer and manifestation for me, somebody, I don't know where I heard this before, but it made a lot of sense, is like prayer is, in sense for me, when it's when I'm praying for someone else.
Yes.
Something for them.
Yeah.
Manifesting is when I'm trying to create for my own happiness, well-being.
Sure.
Benefit, you know.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. You have to be honest.
Yeah.
You know, like being ashamed of admitting you want greater things for yourself is not anything to be ashamed of.
No.
Manifestation doesn't mean that we just sit back and kick our feet up on the ottoman and watch it happen.
Right.
There has to be faith, you know, work, a lot of different things.
Yep.
And it has to be the universe's timeline.
That too. And in the words of the Rolling Stones, you can't always get what you want either.
Yeah, you can't.
Because a lot of times we think we want something. Like I was talking to you about this the other day. I'll use this example of that. We manifested this house. So excited to move into this house. For the first probably 3 or 4 months that we lived here, I was like, I never want to leave here. I love this place. I can't
don't
imagine.
Ever speak of it. Don't. We shall never leave.
We shall never leave. And now I'm like, ready to move.
Get us out.
Right. You just never know really what is meant for you. And, you know, you can manifest something that's for you, but is only temporary. Even if it's like a relationship, like if you're manifesting a certain relationship strong enough, you can manifest it, but what's not meant to be is not going to be.
Right.
So it won't stick around. You'll just have this like temporary satisfaction, but whatever the issues would have been will be there, and that won't happen anyways.
Right.
So, yeah. So it really is about being on the same level with the universe, I think, when you're doing the manifestation.
And being honest.
Yes. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard, I think, for us to be honest, to say, okay, I would like this. I would like, you know, without putting limits on it. Like, I'm trying to learn that when I manifest something, I'm not trying to manifest what I think is reasonable.
Right.
I'm trying to manifest what I really want. And so you have to be honest about what you really want.
Yeah.
And then it'll happen.
Yeah.
You know, if you ask me.
That's pretty cool.
So hope that answers your question, Nancy.
Thanks, Nancy.
And then the other one was from Nicole. She asked, is there a way to make my manifestations happen faster? That's another good question.
Wow. I don't know. I still feel like it's their timeline, but your wish.
I think that there's always the timeline. There's
always timeline.
Right. There's always the right timeline. But I do think that you can slow down and speed up the process of things depending on how you're going about it. So if you are trying to manifest the wrong thing and always trying to manifest the wrong thing, then it's probably going to put off the right thing because you're trying to manifest the wrong thing.
Yeah.
If you're working with your guides, working with the universe to try and manifest what is really for you, and you're not putting up a lot of resistance, then it might happen faster. Like that for me, once I'm like, I surrender and I go, I'm going to just go with whatever the universe does and all that, things flow a lot faster to me than when I'm sitting here going, this is taking forever. And I hate this, or whatever the negative that's coming out of my mouth is. So I think if you're more positive about things, that they will happen faster. But yeah, there is always that timeline that things have to go along with. But like money, for example, let's say that you need some extra money, right? And you're trying to manifest that, but you're sitting there going, I really need this money, and you're being like really negative and down about it. It will probably take a lot longer to manifest it than if you're just like, you know, I could use some help, universe, you know, if there's anything you could do, I'm willing to work for it. If I'll give back, you know, whatever. Right. I think it comes faster to you that way.
Yeah.
So that's just my opinion. So.
Manifestation is an interesting thing.
Isn't it?
It really is.
Yeah.
And I think it's the art of it has been around for a very, very long time.
Yes. And I think there are a lot of civilizations that were way better at it than we were, that could like instant manifest it.
Yeah. I mean, and I think, you know, a lot of people would think, well, that's silly. How do you just make something out of thin air? You know, like, how do you just bring this to yourself? That's part of this like simulation where you realize it's much deeper and complicated and more interesting than I ever thought it was.
We just watched a show, I think it was on Netflix, about Jim Carrey when he played Andy Kaufman in Man on the Moon.
Yeah.
And he was talking about manifesting and how everything that he's ever asked for, he's gotten. Yeah. He wrote a check to himself. What was it?
For $10 million. $10 million.
Yep. And
he said by such and such time, I will have earned this amount of money. And he did. And beyond that. And he actually never even cast a check. He buried it in his father's casket when his father passed away.
Yep. It was a pretty cool story. Definitely something worth watching. But yeah, he said a lot of things about the manifestation that made me think that it's really not as hard as we make it out to be. It really is, you know, what we do with it. And, you know, if you believe, really that's the key, I think, is that Jim Carrey, he believed. Yeah. You know, he and if you don't, then how's it going to happen? Yeah. You have to trust in the universe, and that's hard.
It is.
Yeah.
It can be very hard.
So I hope that answered your question, Nicole. Another
Thanks,
good question.
Nicole.
Yeah. And thank you for everybody that submitted questions for the radio show. That was fun. If you haven't heard that episode, you can find it on all major podcast platforms, Beyond the Bridge with Samantha Jones.
It was a good one.
Yeah, it was, huh? I love doing these. So yeah, we're going to do an animal one today, but let me do a reading first.
All right.
Okay, since we're talking about animals today, this is an animal reading. This is from Jennifer. She says, my best boy, Pooch, passed away from cancer on 12/29, and I'm absolutely devastated.
Yeah.
I still feel him nudge my calf with his nose, herding me along like he did when he was here with us. Is it just the grief, or am I going crazy, or is it really him letting me know he's still around and behind me?
I absolutely believe it's him.
Absolutely it is. Look, he's cute. He kind of looks like my sister's dog, Jerry Lee, a little bit.
And probably more so because he senses your grief, so he's trying to comfort.
Yes, absolutely. So I don't feel like he was awfully old. Like he was an older dog, a senior dog, but I'm not feeling like, up there, like in the teens. I feel like he had a lot of spunk still left to him, and that was a part of the problem, was that, this cancer was taking over him, but he still didn't want to give into it, because he still had that spunk in him.
Yeah.
He was very inquisitive, very intuitive, and expressive. I feel like he showed a lot in his facial expressions, in his body language, where you knew what he wanted just by looking at him and seeing the way that he was looking at you. But I also feel like you were connected to him on a level, and still are, where you can hear him. So those things that you felt like you were looking at him and just knew what he needed, you did. You just knew what he needed, and it wasn't always off of the body language. It was because you were telepathically picking up from him what he needed. He is the one that's doing these things, not just the hurting stuff, but he's also showing me laying on the couch with you with his head on your lap. So if you feel like one of your legs gets warm or something, that's also him putting the pressure on your legs so that you can feel him on there. Also, he's showing me his shadows. So if you catch him out the corner of your eye, like if you're, just looking and then all of a sudden there's something out the corner of your eye, you might even see it being a dog's shadow. That's him. So there's a lot of different ways that he's trying to show you that he's around right now. So don't think that you're crazy. This is very normal. Not everybody notices. Not everybody believes. So you believe and you notice. And so the more that you do, the more that he will show you those things. He's doing this because he wants you to know that he's okay, that he's safe, that he's happy where he's at, and that he can come and go from here anytime that he wants to. So anytime that you think about him or talk about him, he's always right there next to you. So never doubt that. He tells me that through his whole life that he was with you, he never needed anything. You were always on top of things, and that if love could have saved him, he would still be here. Mm-hmm. Very sweet dog. So I hope sweet. that can bring you a little bit of peace there. Yeah, Jennifer, sorry about that. Sorry about your loss.
Sorry.
Yeah. So.
But thank you for that, Jennifer.
Yep, thank you for that, Jennifer. Appreciate it. Oh, it got me. Got a little teared up on that.
Need some tissue?
Yes, that'd be great. Thank you. Whew. I don't know why. Sometimes they get me like that. All right. Well, that is all that I have. Let's give our info then before we start. So you can find me at Samantha Jones Psychic Medium. My radio show is every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on voiceamerica.com on the Empowerment Channel. This coming week, Danny's going to be my guest.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I'm so nervous.
Oh, my God. No. It's our 6th wedding anniversary.
Yes.
So we thought that would be the perfect day to have him on as a guest.
That'd be cool.
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm excited.
Yeah, me
It'll
too.
Be fun.
So then for you, sir.
Yes, for my art, djonesartcollection.com for the web, at djonesartcollection for Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And I do have one piece right now, an exhibit at TO Art, Thousand Oaks Civics Arts Plaza. Visions of Peace art exhibit that's going on there. I believe it started January 1st, I think.
Nice.
And you can see it in the Fred Colvey lobby, the theater lobby, and check it out if you want, if you're in the area.
Fabulous.
That's it for me.
Very good.
All right, then. Episode 190, all about pets.
All about pets. So we have a lot of different questions here. There's reincarnation. There's questions about living animals and, euthanasia, stuff like that. So we will see how many of these we get to, but they're all really good.
Cool.
Okay, so the first one is, when we have no choice but to put a beloved pet to sleep, do they understand why when they pass on? Does their soul move on or stay with us? And that's from Darla. They do understand, and this is not just with the animals, this is with the human spirits too, that once we get to the other side, we see it all. We totally understand it. There's no, hard feelings, or I think a lot of times we worry that the things that we didn't express, that when they go to the other side, when we go to the other side, that you don't know those things, but they do. So anything that you feel in your heart, your animal absolutely knows. As far as does the soul move on or stay with us, both.
Yeah.
The soul is on the other side, but it can be here with us because it's really just a different dimension. Mm-hmm. So they can be here or there whenever they want. Their soul also can move on whenever they feel like they want to move on and they want to reincarnate. Yeah. So you might have a dog right now that was also an animal that you had when you were a child, because they will come back to you. So it's a little bit of everything, I would say.
And I think that for a couple different reasons, I try to look at them as terms of, like, not necessarily a person, but a personality, a being that has had relationships with other animals and other humans. Like Betty, for instance, our female Dane, we're not exactly sure where she came from. Mm-mm. They just found her in the desert in not really good shape. But I'm sure she'd been around other people and other animals. And they don't have the type of mind, because of our inability to communicate with them verbally. They don't have the type of mind to sit here and ponder and question all these different things. So I believe they have a greater connection just spiritually to the other side, because they can see other loved ones, other animals. Maybe they had a litter and one of them passed. Maybe their owner passed away and that's how they ended up in the shelter and were adopted. And they might be being visited by the spirit of that owner or the puppy that they lost, or kitten, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And most of all, they don't have other humans or other dogs, in their case, telling them, oh, no, that's not true.
Right.
That didn't happen. That doesn't happen. That's not real.
Right.
They are much more open-minded about it.
Yes.
And they understand without really fully understanding. They get it, I think.
Yeah.
So I don't think that when they know it's their time, they're not looking at you like, please don't do this, please don't do this.
No, definitely not.
They understand that it's a cycle.
Yep. We project human emotions onto animals. We think that they think like us, but they don't. They don't understand the world. The way that we do. It's very, very different. Yeah. We have to think about that before we, deal with some of the animal issues the way that we deal with them, because they don't have the same kind of minds that we do.
Yeah.
Yep. So thank you for those questions, Darla. Those were great questions.
Thanks, Darla.
The next one is from Crystal, and Crystal had actually called into the radio show this last week, and I did reading for her on her guinea pig that had recently passed. But this was her question that I didn't get to there, is how do we help our animal companions go through the grieving process or understand when one of our pets pass away? I'm sure they also grieve in their own way. I lost a guinea pig recently, and his brother appears very sad and confused. So there is absolutely a grieving process for the animals. There's a couple of different ways that this happens too, because if they don't see the animal after it's passed away, they may not understand what happened. So like when we had a chocolate lab and we put her down, we took Sabbath with us so that he could see what happened and know that she's staying here. She's, she's passed now. He did not seem to go through a grieving process, really. He was okay. Mm-hmm. And that's what I've noticed, is when they see, they understand, and it's easier for them.
Right.
However, they also pick up on us. And if we're grieving and crying and stressed and acting these ways that they don't understand and putting off this energy that they don't understand, and then they notice their friend is gone, all of these things start going through their heads.
Yeah.
You know, where did they go? What happened? Is the same thing going to happen to me? Am I going to go and not come back?
Right.
So those are that we need to try and remember when we're grieving to try and not project our grief onto our animals.
Yeah.
I guess is a good way to say it, because we do.
And they might also be a little bit thrown off too if, let's say, the spirit of that animal is nudging them in the back of the leg, like the other person's question, and not quite fully understanding, oh, okay, but they're here, but they're not here. Why am I seeing, why am I seeing them? And if you explain to them, then I think they're just much more like open about it.
Yes. This is also a great place to bring an animal communicator in, because I can explain to them, like if you're noticing that the grief seems bad or whatever, or, they weren't able to be there, this is a good place for me to come in. And when Crystal called the show the other day, that's what I did. I connected to the guinea pig that had passed, but also to his brother to tell him, this is what happened. It's okay, those things, to help him through his grief.
Right.
So it's definitely a place where you can bring in an animal communicator, for sure.
Yeah.
So thank you for that, Crystal. Appreciate it. And thank you for calling into the show the other day. I love chatting with you. The next question is about living pets. How long is a reasonable amount of time for it to take for an animal to adjust to a new home? This is from Dylan. That's a great question. And I think that the problem with this question is most people are going to be surprised by how long it takes, but it can take up to a year. It's not something that happens right away. I'm seeing it right now a lot, that all these people bought dogs or cats or whatever for Christmas, went out, adopted them, and now they're going, oh, this is a big responsibility.
Yeah.
They're not integrating well with the other animals or the kids or whatever. That's the adjustment period. That happens with anything that changes in your life. If you have another child and you bring that child home, the ones before it are going to have an adjustment period getting used to a new baby being around. It's the same way when it comes to animals. There's that adjustment.
Right.
For the first few months that we had Betty, I thought we made a mistake because she was having a hard time settling in. There seemed to be, a lot of trauma there that she was coping with. Our dogs didn't adjust right from the get-go. But she's been here now with us for like a year and a half, and she's like one of the family. She's completely fit in. So you can't go by just the beginning of this period.
Yeah.
It's going to be complicated. It's going to be tough. But you'll get through it. How long it takes for the animal themselves is just like with anything else. It's very dependent on the animal, what they've been through. Betty, when we would first like pet her, when she first came to live with us, her body would like quiver, like she would get tense.
Right.
And now that doesn't happen anymore. No. So there's like a decompressing.
Yeah.
And especially like if you adopt an animal like that that's been through a lot and you expect that they're just going to come into your home and that they're going to be fine and then they're acting up or whatever, they're adjusting just like you are, and they're adjusting from their trauma, and they may not have had a comfortable bed in their previous life or whatever. They may have been purely an outdoor dog or whatever like that, and they have to adjust. So give it time with all of these situations, and patience. Patience is so important too, because they don't understand the human language. So we have to be patient with them when it comes to this kind of stuff.
And I don't think it's that far off from us as a species, when you think about if you ever had a roommate or girlfriend or your wife when you first move in together, it's going to take about, a year to maybe up to 5 years for us to really fully understand and get to know one another, but especially living together in just dwelling. That first year, you learn a lot about one another.
Yeah, you do.
And they're essentially taking it all in and learning the routine, meaning the animals learning the routine and kind of finding their place in the scheme of it all,
Exactly. It takes time.
Yeah.
And it's not easy, but it's worth it. if you put that effort and that time in. It's difficult for these animals. I'm watching them be moved from home to home, and it's really hard to watch.
Yeah, it is.
They don't deserve that. So
and they're confused.
They're confused, especially if it's an animal that you get from a shelter. Like, there was one that I saw, I can't remember where this was. It was like on the news, was that these people adopted this dog and then returned it to the shelter because the dog wanted to sleep in bed with them, and it was like a little chihuahua or something. Oh, so sorry for you, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, yeah. Anyways, don't get me started. All right, so that was a good question. Thank you so much for that, Dylan.
Thanks, Dylan.
And then the next one, this is from Sienna. She says, why does my dog freak out when I come home? I know he's excited, but he cries and screams and carries on. How do I make this stop? This is a good question, and honestly, to some degree or another, I get asked this question a few times a week. Not necessarily about coming home, but about different behaviors that an animal might do. You know, that they bark when the other dog goes walking by the house and all this. First of all, just like people, all animals have their own personality. So your dog is expressing to you when you get home how excited he is that you're home. He hasn't seen you. Maybe it's been 5 minutes. Maybe it's been 5 hours. He doesn't know because he can't tell time. It all feels the same to him. So he's excited to see you. And that's his personality coming out and being, you know, overly excited, whatever, barking, you know, making noise and whatnot. That's him showing you, I love you. Mm-hmm. You're home. I'm excited. So some dog trainers will tell you to discourage that kind of behavior. Yeah. To just walk past your dog when you walk in the house and completely ignore them until they calm down. Okay. That's one way of going about things. That's hard to do when you really love them. It's so hard to do. But I understand the not making a huge deal out of them, because when you do, then it gives them this little bit of like, okay, everything's fine now, they're home. But when they leave, it might make them feel more insecure. So coming home and acknowledging, I always say that's so important. Acknowledging that you're home. Hi, it's good to see you. I missed you too. You know, whatever. You can be calm about it and all that, but acknowledge. Some people are just like, oh, get down. Go, you know, I've been gone all day. I don't want to deal with you. No, that dog, that cat, whatever is excited to see you when you get home has been waiting for you all day. Yeah. So acknowledge how excited they are. And, you know, that alone a lot of times helps them calm down. Mm-hmm. If you're completely ignoring the behavior and just, you know, oh, get away, that kind of thing. You're in my way. Because they don't know. They don't understand that we've been to work, you know, or whatever we've been doing after a long day and we're tired and come home. So
that's just pure unconditional love they're pouring out, you know.
Exactly. So I can't tell your dog to stop doing this behavior because this is his personality. If it bothers you, then you can always bring a trainer in to try and tone it down. Or like I said, maybe it's just acknowledging that, you know, you're home and calming him. I think we forget too how much our animals feed off of our energy. Yeah. And if we come home and we're in a bad mood and we're all, you know, tense and stuff, then that makes them anxious. Yeah. So. True. It is a lot about the energy that's walking through the door. So thank you, Sienna. That was a great question.
Yeah, that is a good question, Sienna.
So I think that I have time to squeeze a couple readings in here.
Do it.
At least one.
For sure. We got time.
Okay. I mean, I still have questions, but I think that I can squeeze these in there too. So this one is from Carrie. She says, this is Bailey. She is still living. She just turned 11 on December 27th. She has a couple of things going on, but can you tell me how she feels and if she's okay? I know she can't live forever, but hopefully a little longer. She's beautiful, yellow Labrador.
Pretty girl.
Yeah. I have a soft spot for Lab. She might have a little mix in her, but she looks mostly Lab. Okay, Let me talk to her. So the first area that she draws me into is her neck. You know what? And like her salivary glands. And I don't know what that would be from, but it feels swollen in that area, so that might be lymph nodes. So there could be a cancer or something going on here. It could even be an infection, but there's something in the glands in her throat that I'm drawn to. After that, she draws me to her hind end, to her hips. this is common with dogs as they get older, that they get the hip problems, especially in breeds like Labradors. So if you don't have her on a hip supplement like Cosequin or something like that, I would look into it. Pain meds at this point would be helpful as well for that if you haven't done all of these things. If you have, then I still feel like she could use a little something else for the pain. That's why I'm bringing it up. So adding something else on top of it would be good. So let's say that you're doing pain medication, like Rimadyl or something like that. You could also add gabapentin. Talk to your vet about adding gabapentin, and that would help. CBD, yes, absolutely. CBD is very good for this stuff too. Let me see what else she draws me to. I like to do a check of their eyes and their ears and all that, because they start to lose their senses as they get older. And I can tell that her vision is a little bit cloudy, but not as bad as some of the dogs that I've seen at this age. Not so bad. Her hearing's pretty good, and she still smells things pretty well. So that's good. She's still got all those senses intact. There is also some stomach issues coming up on the underside. I guess that might be the intestines. I'm not exactly sure. Some inflammation and stuff there. That could be anything from an allergy to just occasional stomach upset. But those are the things that I'm picking up on the most. She is an older girl, but I still feel like she has a lot of spunk in her. And I still feel like you have some time with her. At least I would say through the summer, maybe even longer than that. But definitely through the summer. She tells me that she has had the most amazing life with you, and that she knows that you would do anything for her, and that you are doing everything you can to keep her comfortable, and she appreciates that. So she wants to acknowledge that and tell you that she loves you unconditionally, and never second guess the decisions that you make for her, because all the decisions that you make for her are out of love. So I hope that helps, Carrie.
Thanks, Carrie.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. More questions.
All right.
Okay. I read a book that touched on pets and their past lives. Is it common for our pets to be part of our past lives, or is it a rare occurrence? And this is from Megan. I think that I don't on purpose actually explore my past lives, because I like to live in this life. Like, this life's complicated enough. I really don't want to know,
right.
A lot of this. But I do believe that some of the pets that I've had in this life have probably been with me in previous lives. Why not?
I agree.
I mean, we have so much time here. So much time. Yeah. And so the same souls, I feel like they are kind of, with us for this journey. New ones come in, but there's always those same ones.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel like that's a possibility, that they're with us through many lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so. It's interesting. And that none of us remember, as we come in, we don't remember. So it's all new.
Yes.
But like same players, just a whole new thing. It's so interesting.
And, one of the things that people ask me when I do readings and we talk about the reincarnation, I explain to them, this animal's not going to know in the new animal's body that it was the previous one. And so many people go, then why does it matter? Well, it does matter. Yeah. This is the soul that's meant to be with you. Like, they don't understand, why that would be. We don't want to know all of our past lives. Like, Betty here, she's been through a lot in this life. So in her next life, I'd like for her to not have to remember all the things that she went through in this life.
Yeah.
And, I think it's an extra special gift for us to know when an animal is reincarnating into another animal. Mm-hmm. Most people do not have that information.
No.
It's when you come to an animal communicator, or, maybe you've even just asked for signs yourself, or whatever it is that but most people don't. So.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up, be honest, kind of my impressions of how you dealt with, your dog or whatever. It was, that's a dog. That dog goes outside.
Yeah.
It's a dog house, whatever. It gets a bowl of water, a bowl of food every day. And it's like we put them down here and us up here as if they're not equal, but they are a soul, and they're going to go through many lives just like us. Mm-hmm. And they're going to expand and progress So to think that, like, almost like they're expendable.
Right.
I don't know how to put it, but.
No, I understand.
And then you start to realize, oh my God, they come back to you. Mm-hmm. Just like somebody in your, human life.
Right.
You will share other roles in the next chapter.
And some people ask me, like, okay, say in Betty's case, right? She came to us later in her life, so she had a previous owner. Mm-hmm. And I definitely feel like at least one owner that she has passed away because I've felt a spirit connected to her since she came here. So people will ask me questions like, in that kind of case, who did they reincarnate back to? Well, I think that they can reincarnate back to whoever they want.
Yeah.
But like when we got Betty, I knew she was going to be the reincarnation of somebody. I just knew there had to be. Well, it turns out another medium told me that she's Ripple, a dachshund that I had when I was little. So that soul came back to me, but also was with somebody else. So this other person could somehow be connected to me in my soul family as well. True. Or, we don't know. We don't have any clue really. I know I go off of what the universe tells me. But there's still so much of it that I'm still trying to figure out because it is complicated and there's so much that honestly is real life magic, and that as humans we can't even so much grasp the concept of these things. So it's almost like I feel like they explain it to us in a dumbed down kind of version where there's much more magic to it than the way that we actually see it, because we can't see that magic yet, if that makes sense.
It's like we can and we can't.
Right.
We have to look at the things that are around us to help explain that. So when you look at like the fingers, or when you look at a snapshot of the universe, right? It's very similar to photographs, medical photographs of the brain. Mm-hmm. When you look at a tree and you see all the branches and the limbs that are extending off one another, but they are essentially one. Mm-hmm. So it's looking at those things in a different angle or perspective for the universe to simply explain to us how this all works.
Right.
And that's a perfect example.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yep. So I hope that answered your question there. Let's see, what's the next one that I have here? Let's see, this kind of goes with this one. Is it possible that some of the critters who come into our lives are sent to us by previous pets or ancestors? Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me tell you a story about a reading that I did today. This poor guy, he adopted a dog when it was like 11, 12 weeks old. It was a border collie. And at 11 months old, she passed away from some kind of issue with her colon. So that happened a couple of days after Christmas. Well, he came across this dog the day, I think it was the day that this dog passed away, or the day after, that somebody was just giving away. Wow. And this other one was a border collie, and this one that was being given away was a healer. And they are similar. They're cattle dogs. They're working dogs. So it was like the other dog that passed away showed up here with this other one, wow, like a present. Here. And he's like, I know that I needed this. He's like, a lot of people will think that looks like they're replacing the other dog, which is not what's happening at all. He even said that the new dog is like having to fight for the position, of the one that passed away. But yes, our animals, they will do that. Mm-hmm. They will absolutely bring us that kind of gift.
I agree.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah. So that was a great question there, too.
Very cool.
All right, we got a couple more. How much time we got? Oh, good. Okay, because we can do another reading, too. Okay. Let's see. This is from Kylie. How can we communicate better with our pets? That's a great question, because there's a lot of different ways that I can answer this, too. I think one of the best ways that we can communicate with them is by paying attention to their needs, to their body language, learning their body language,
and understanding and believing that these animals use telepathy. They always have.
Mm-hmm.
So whether you can hear them or not, if you speak to them in your mind, they can hear you. You got to connect to them.
Yes.
You're very gifted where you could be across the world and connect to something. I can't do that, but I know if I can be in the presence, at least of our own animals, and see them, they very much hear what I'm telling them.
Absolutely, they do. Yep. And one thing that I started doing with Zuma when we first got him, and this has really helped, is that I pay attention, we both do, to what he needs. Mm-hmm. We follow him. A lot of times a dog will come up and just stare at you. Follow them. Yes. Ask them, what is it that you want? He will take us to what he wants. You just got to follow him. Mm-hmm. But they have to be kind of trained this way. You know, you have to teach them, like, okay, show me. Or like Sabbath, a part of the way he communicates with me is he comes up and he boops me on the leg with his nose when he wants something. So you have to pay attention to the different ways that they're communicating with you, that they're saying, I need something from you, or whatever. It's really about paying attention and learning about them. Yep. One thing that I think really sucks about how short the lives of animals are is that it's almost like we really start to get good with understanding them and communicating with them before they go, you know? Because it's like just Sabbath is 9 years old and he's just really getting down this, okay, if I want mom's attention, let me go boop her, you know, whatever I need. Or he just has these ways of communicating. But they didn't come until like later in life, you know, when he started to really understand.
And it can be very straightforward, too. Like when we have bone time, everybody gets a bone. And you can see when they're, not even see, but you can hear when they're ready to trade and switch bones, they start barking at one another. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, I want that one. Mm-hmm. Or like you get these ones that are the bones hollowed out and they fill it with like this jelly. Mm-hmm. And Sabbath, when it's gotten too deep for him to get to, he starts barking at you. Yeah. And it comes in as a thought where I think, oh, I should probably stir that or pull some of that out for him. Mm-hmm. That's not my thought. Right. He's asking me to do that. He's showing me.
Right. We just think that it's
right. Oh, I'm so smart. I figured that out.
Yeah, and you know what? In some cases you might be. But it's funny because my sister's a groomer, and this was something that she has said that through her 20 years of being a groomer, she always thought that she just knew, you know, like she was reading the dog's body language. She just knew because she knows dogs. But she was like what you're saying, picking up from them. It's just that we think there's no way. Yeah. How's that possible? I'm just really good at reading what they need.
Most animals on this planet besides us speak telepathically. Yeah.
Yep.
We take it in as our own thought, and that's not true.
No, but hey, if they're getting through that way, then that's wonderful. Yeah, you know. But we have to listen to it
exactly and understanding it, like going, oh, like recognizing it. That's what it's like. Okay, so then I'm more prone to be aware.
Right. It's like with a baby. Mm-hmm. You know, you have to learn what their certain cries are, what their needs are, what, you know, when they're asking for it. It's the same thing with dogs, except they never learn to speak English. So you just have to learn those needs. But, you know, I get asked questions a lot, like my dog sits in front of me and just stares at me. Why is he doing that? Well, I can't tell you that the reason he's doing that today is the same reason why he did that yesterday. Right. There might be a million different reasons. He might need to go out. He might not feel good, but you have to kind of pay attention, you know, when it comes to like an animal that might not feel good. So many people say, well, there weren't signs there. There wasn't anything. And then they look back and they go, oh, well, he was sleeping a lot more than normal and wasn't really eating the amount. And these are the things we have to pay attention to because that's how they communicate with us. When it comes to an animal being sick, they're not going to be able to just come up to you and say, hey, I don't feel good. Right. Do something about this. They are going to show you in ways like licking or sleeping too much or pacing or panting, whatever. If it's an abnormal behavior, pay attention to it and see, you know, if you can figure out what's going on. And if you can't, then, you know, that's what the vet is for. But a lot of times we can see, you know, oh, they're not eating right. What's going on here? You know, people just don't pay attention to those things. Right. So if you pay more attention to the normalcy, the ways they normally act, then when they're not acting normal, you'll you'll notice it more. So there's a lot of ways to communicate better with our animals. And if you didn't hear my radio show when I had Jolene, Andrus, and Bastion on, they have a completely different way of communicating. They use pre-programmed buttons with words in them, and these people are teaching their animals how to communicate with these buttons. It is. So that's something else to look up and listen to that episode if you haven't yet, because it's fascinating. It really is. They're so much smarter than what we give them credit for.
And a lot of it, because I know you use a lot of imagery with them.
Yes.
And I do sometimes too. A lot. Not a lot, but I do sometimes. I use a lot of just vocalizing and I'm just saying, not, huge words, but it's someone outside. We hear them. It's okay.
Yeah.
You don't have to bark, Yeah. We're aware. Thank you for telling us. And they'll kind of chill.
Yeah.
When we do last call to go to the bathroom before we go to sleep at night and we're out there, I will show whoever I'm dealing with at the moment I imagine a picture of them, what they look like when they're squatting to go to the bathroom. And within minutes, they do it.
Yeah. Seconds, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's they get it. They do. They just have to be brought back. It's like with that last call, we let them out and Zuma wants to go and see if he can find any friends in the bushes. Right. And so you have to redirect him back to you. Yes. And show him that
like
picture
a toddler
again. Exactly.
We call it 10-second Tom.
Yes, exactly. But it's like the other way of doing it is you let him out there and you go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom, go to the bathroom. That's not going to work. No. They have no clue what you're talking about. Right. So yes, doing the images helps so much. And anybody can do that. You don't have to be an animal communicator to do that. You can tell when it's worked, and so there's a feeling that comes when it works.
Right.
So you can then start to relate that feeling of I got this message through, and this is how it felt, so that the next time, because there really is like a way of connecting to them where you have to kind of quiet your brain and relax yourself before you can really tune into them. This is something so much with healing too. It's like you have to let go of whatever's going on in your mind to be able to connect to them to do those kinds of healings. So yeah, it really is.
Obviously, dogs can be trained by certain words. So they're going to understand, outside, treat, whatever.
Sure.
But that example of Zuma wanting to run out into the bushes is a great example because he does lose the concentration for a moment. And standing there and yelling at him, go potty, go potty, go potty. It doesn't work.
No.
It's the minute you start showing him what you want him to do, it breaks that concentration on what he's focused on over there and brings him back to center.
Yep.
And he's like, okay.
I can get the attention of all of these dogs much more through the telepathy than I can through yelling at them to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Like it's just they get it more, But yeah, like a toddler, you have to bring them back to focus sometimes, snap them out of it or whatever. But yep, they're very smart. All animals are smart. So any animal can do this. This is not just dogs, cats, birds, or telepathic. Yeah. Reptile, everything. So, yep. So, as far as communicating better with them, there's a few ways. And then actually there's another question that was kind of similar, which is do animals understand us when we talk to them? So what we were talking about with talking to them in their own language, yes, they will understand you. If you're going to talk to them in English, Spanish, German, whatever, they're going to understand words that they've learned, just like anything else. If they don't know the word, like if you are all of a sudden like, go get me that toy, and you're like, the monkey, and they don't know the word monkey, they're not going to bring you the toy. Right. But if you hold it to them and, keep telling them monkey, 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 they're going to get it. They're going to catch on just like anything else. So it really is just about teaching them those kinds of English words or whatever language
and I think before they even hear the words itself, that your energy or your vibration actually hits them first before the word.
Yeah.
So if you're sitting there trying to train them on something like monkey, monkey, or teach them something, if you're getting agitated and frustrated with it, that's going to be a breakdown for them. They're going to feel like, uh-oh, I'm not being a good boy or a good girl. I'm doing something wrong here you know,
Yep.
as opposed to, again, like you said, approaching it more like a toddler.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We have to be more careful about how we talk to our animals because we don't realize that, you know, they don't speak that same language. And so a lot of people get frustrated and,
Yeah.
you know, they don't understand. So I'm just going to get frustrated with it. Well, you don't understand their language, you know, and if you went to some country where they were speaking a different language, you wouldn't know it either. So
Right.
it is really learning how to work together.
Right.
And that's a part of building that bond with your animal that and some people just are not patient and they don't want to do that kind of thing. And then you don't have to have an animal. You know, if you don't want to work with them on that level, there's no reason to have an animal then. That's
It's a personality. It's a living creature that has its own personality.
Yeah. There's so many areas of the world that don't understand that. And even places in the United States that they don't understand that.
Yeah.
That these are just, you know, whatever. For some people, it's a trophy. You know, for others, it's a guard dog or it's, you know, a cat to keep the mice away or whatever. But all of these animals have feelings and can communicate and have certain needs that they don't know how to express to us with our language. And so we have to work with them and be patient and understand. And once you do that, it really helps to have for you to have that kind of bond between you and your animals. It's a beautiful type of bond.
Yes, it is.
Yep, it is for sure. So, you know what? I have another reading. Let's just do it.
Okay.
Let's do it. This is for Paul. Paul is a regular listener. Hi, Paul.
Hey, Paul.
He says, "This is Bob, sadly put to sleep over a year ago. Miss his company very much. What is he up to? Does he visit me? Thank you."
Is this a cat?
Yes, he is a little black
I
kitty.
felt it.
He's a beautiful black
Bob.
kitty. Hey, Bob.
That's a cool name.
Yeah. Okay. So Bob, so there's a few different like base types of personalities that I see with cats. There's the ones that are like really, you know, independent, and then there's the ones that are more like dogs. He was somewhere in the middle, and it really varied depending on what kind of mood he was in. Sometimes he would be all up in your business like a dog, and other times it was just like, I'm doing my own thing here, leave me alone. Not really a needy cat. Like when he would be more like a dog, I don't feel like it was the overly neediness, except sometimes when he was trying to get his point across, I feel like he could have been a little bit loud and, you know, trying to get his point of what it was he wanted. I see him kind of walking in and out your legs, almost looking like he wants to trip you to get his point across, which is cute. Let's see what else he wants to say. He's very busy on the other side, he tells me. He's busy doing some of the things that he didn't really get to do too much of in life. He likes to watch the outdoor creatures a lot. He likes to just, you know, they don't hurt anything there. This is a soul-based world, a spirit-based world. So most of what they're doing is observing. He likes to observe the other creatures, birds, mice, you know, whatever, but doesn't hurt them, just observes. He's also showing me liking to smell flowers and going up and smelling the flowers. There's a man that he's with that he hangs out with a lot. This man also has a dog and a cat by his side. So I feel like Bob's showing this because he wants you to know he's not alone and that he is with other people that he didn't know in this life, I don't feel. But that's okay because our souls all recognize each other. So we don't have to have met in this life for us to recognize each other on the other side.
Yeah.
This man, I feel, was a greeter to Bob when he arrived. Let's see what else he wants to tell me. He says that you were a great companion. That's so funny for a cat to say that because that's something that you would think we would say to them.
It's
You
like
were a
the
great
Odd
companion.
Couple.
Totally. You were a great companion. Thank you for that, he says.
That's right.
That you were always fun to be around and good company, and he hopes that he rubbed off on you the same way. He knows that you miss his presence a lot, but he wants you to know that he's still very much there around you all the time, and that when you think about him and talk about him, he's right there next to you. So, yeah.
That's
so there
cool.
you go, Paul.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
And Bob.
And Bob. And everybody that submitted questions and readings for this show.
Yeah, those are good questions.
Yeah, I think we got through them all. So, yeah.
Very cool.
Just in time.
Very good job.
Very good. Thank you. You too.
Well, before we say adios, would you like to share your information one more time?
Yes. So you can find me at SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com. The radio show airs Wednesday on Voice America on the Empowerment Channel at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Danny will be my guest this week, so please tune into that. You can, So, and then for you, sir.
Oh, for my art, one more time, djonesartcollection.com for the web, at djonesartcollection for Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Great. And Bessie's saying good night, too.
Yeah.
If you can hear her in the background, she likes to voice her opinion sometimes, too. So she says, good night, everybody.
Yes, she does.
Yeah.
Well, we hope everybody got something out of this.
Yes.
Thanks again for all the questions.
Yes.
Very cool.
Thank you.
And we hope you have a great week.
Yes.
And until next week, peace and love.